was only supposed to be about their lives up until the age we were then, so 9. So when I said, hey, parents, I want to interview Grandpa, I think the sort of powers that be figured, well, you know, when he was 9, things hadn't really, you know, hit the fan yet, so, you know, that's probably safe. So they let me do this, and I remember, you know, I interviewed him, and I had my legal pad, and I had my little tape recorder, and it was wonderful because my grandfather had this incredibly beautiful, idyllic childhood in Łódź, Poland, and he was from a well-off family, and they were very vibrant and spiritual and close, and it was, you know, I think my mother and my grandparents wanted me to know about this this beautiful part of his life, and so, you know, it was this great interview, and I heard all about his 5 siblings, and then after the interview, we were on the way home, and I sort of in my head, I imagined my mother kind of heaving a sigh of relief that, you know, nothing too bad had come up. And then I kind of pipe up and said, Mom, wait a second, I know, because my grandmother has 2 brothers. I said, I know, you know, Fedor and Uncle Norbert, but where are all of Grandpa's siblings? I've never met these people. I don't know anything about them. And that was sort of when it was explained to me what happened, and that they had all perished in this, you know, this terrible thing that had happened called the Holocaust, which it still, you know, took me a few years after that to really comprehend. So fast forward until my senior year of college, and I was doing my thesis in drama, and it was a production that I directed and kind of co-created based on Aeschylus or Oresteia, which is one of the big kind of ancient Greek tragic trilogies, and we were specifically focusing on the middle one, which is called Libation Bearers, which is basically the story of, the whole thing is the story of this cursed family who, you know, a long time ago, one of their ancestors did a terrible thing, and now for generations there's been huge amounts of interfamilial violence and revenge in this terrible cycle. And this play picks up with the sort of young generation who are basically saying, well, what do we do with this mess we've inherited? You know, and they know what they're supposed to do, which is more revenge. And at the same time, they know that, you know, that will curse them even further if they do partake in this. And they, you know, and it was, you know, we used a lot of different texts. I actually used some of my mother's paper on intergenerational trauma in the show, and because that's why I wanted to do it, and why it spoke to me. It was because I said, wow, this thing was written 2,500 years ago, but these are young kids, saying, not young kids, you know, young adults, like we were saying, what do we do with this messed up world we've inherited? What do we do as part of this family that has never known peace and has never known how to just live and be a family? And one of the things that I did during the process of this was I had the whole team do some sort of piece on family history. And what I did is I made a family tree. But I included all of these people who had been killed in the Holocaust, just as sort of, I think most people were dots and they were kind of empty circles. And I sort of, I daydreamed a little bit, and I didn't just put the people who had been alive at the time. I sort of tried to imagine what would my family tree have looked like. So I put, you know, spouses, and I put imaginary children. And, you know, when I set out to do this, it was a sort of a, you know, look at my family tree, look at this big empty space in it. But it was kind of, you know, it was healing in a certain way to sort of daydream a little bit on what the lives might have been like, and the people who might have existed, and the relatives I might have had, and to feel that they were in some way present because I was thinking about them and I was, representing them. And in my play, as in the original play, they do not beat the curse, and they end up doing something pretty terrible. But the final image in the play we created was of the family, just members of the family who were dead and who were not, all just sitting at a table, eating and drinking and being together, and that was sort of the last little vignette of the show. And because I think it was important for me, even though we were telling the story about a family that is trying to heal but can't, to have this final moment be the possibility. And yeah.